podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks. No breaks. No fear. No fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Hello, I'm Ian Brannan, and joining me to guide you through this week's episode is the man who was the unlikely star of the GP qualifier in Glasgow last weekend.
Oh my God, that was an absolutely fantastic race! And Tom Brennan mixing it up with the 2012 champion of the world!
Later on in this episode, we're going to hear all about his exploits in Glasgow. We're going to also speak to all four of the qualifiers as well. Nicolai, Klindt, Chris Holder, Dan Bewley and Tobiasz Musielak are all going to be on this episode. We've also got reaction from the Monday night fixture between the Peterborough Panthers and the Ipswich Witches. We're going to hear from Rob Lyon, Richie Hawkins and Bjarne Pedersen. A bit of a surprise, couple of signings as well through the course of the last 7 days. We're going to catch up with Adam Ellis a little later, who is also a rider who's qualified for the GP Challenge. He did his business in Terenzano. And Wolves have made an addition to their lineup with a new rising star. Leon Flint is now a Wolf, and we're going to hear from him as well. I think it's our biggest episode we've ever done. Lots to cram in, Premiership, Championship and Grand Prix qualifier, all rammed in with myself and Tom Brennan. Stay with us.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
So welcome along. It is an epic edition this time round. There's a lot to get through and, I could have cut some stuff out, but I've left it all in there because I think it's all good. And the way it's going to work is part one, we're going to chat with Tom and find out more about him and the GB youth setup and all that kind of stuff, and then talk through the Premiership action from the last few days and look ahead to what's coming up. Part two, we're going to be at Glasgow reacting to that Speedway Grand Prix qualifier of which Tom was the unlikely star. So lots more to come on that front, and we're speaking to all four of the qualifiers as well. And then in the third part, it's all about the championship and all the stuff that's coming up there and looking ahead to those fixtures. And not least, hearing from Adam Ellis, who is a new signing for Scunthorpe. So all that to come here on No Breaks, No Fear. But let's welcome our guest this episode. Here is Tom Brennan. Hi, Tom.
Hello. Thank you very much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Of course, Tom, you're a rider for the Bellevue Aces and the Eastbourne Eagles in the Championship, but you were also thrust into international action at the weekend. You were a track reserve along with Drew Kemp at Glasgow for the Grand Prix qualifier, and obviously not knowing if you're even going to ride or get any time on track or not, but before you know it, you're straight in at the deep end. You end up with 4 rides, 9 points, and the Speedway world sitting up and taking notice about Tom Brennan now.
Oh well, as you say, I mean it's been a pretty hectic week. Obviously, being a reserve for a Grand Prix qualifier was always a dream, and to sort of have the opportunity was a big shock. But obviously for me, it was great, and obviously we took it with both hands. And like you say, turn up for a reserve is always a pretty sort of steady sort of feeling, because obviously you aren't sure whether you should prepare for this race or next race and what helmet colour, and obviously can be a little bit stressful at times. But no, as you say, great meeting for me, but a great opportunity, and definitely learned a lot from that experience. So yeah, been a pretty hectic week, but definitely wouldn't change a thing about it.
And with these qualifiers, even the star riders only found out where they were riding fairly short notice, didn't they? So it all happens pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah. As you say, I mean, everything happens very quick, and that's obviously the nature of Speedway. So, no, as you say, very, very grateful to have the opportunities that I have and to have the team around me. And as you say, things are very unpredictable in Speedway, but I definitely couldn't be in a better position with Eastbourne and Bellevue.
And it was a change of plan as well, because, of course, you were due to be racing in the under-21 qualifier in Germany, and then there was that decision for you not to go because of the COVID restrictions there. You would potentially have been in isolation for 10 days, and obviously that wouldn't have been good for many levels. So that was another part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that was really disappointing. I mean, we were sort of looking at it maybe 2-3 weeks before, saying, how is this really going to happen? With obviously the quarantine and obviously getting into Germany and also racing, obviously that was also the big problem. And because there was no exemptions for elite sportsmen. So obviously that's sort of what got us out of the quarantine beforehand. But in this situation, we didn't have that option, so it was very much touch and go for quite a while. And it was I think it was maybe on the Monday. Obviously, we're meant to be leaving on the. We're meant to be leaving on the Friday. We then got the call from Neil to say, look, it's off, and that was a huge disappointing moment, really, because that was definitely a big moment for myself, and obviously a huge moment for Drew too. And for us to be taken out the one at Bellevue to start off with, obviously we then lost 2 riders then, and then we also lost 2 riders going to Germany. So pretty disappointed for Team GB, and obviously not to get a wild card is also pretty disheartening. But we have to sort of take that on the chin and sort of prove that we are good enough for that scene, and keep our heads down and keep on working hard. So yeah, very very disappointing, but everything happens for a reason, and definitely is going to stop anything my end. So.
Well, that was my next question, because there was talk of would there be a wild card in the Speedway Star last week, and that's not the case then.
No, it's unfortunately didn't happen. I believe Drew's maybe the 6th reserve, whereas I didn't actually get a reserve spot. But there you go. I think that's what Team GB have sort of been left with, and unfortunately that's sort of what we have to deal with at the moment. So.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? Especially after the performance, and you've shown that you can mix it with the big boys, let alone the rest of the under-21 scene. No,
big disappointment, but there you go. We have to take it and move on. So.
We're going to talk more about the Glasgow qualifier in more detail in part 2 of the podcast in a little while. I'm going to cover the Premiership first. But before we do any of that, I just want to talk about the youth setup in British Speedway, because it's something that often gets talked about, and a lot of the work goes on out of the gaze of most of the public. And of course, we see the benefits of that through the Rising Star system. You are a Rising Star. You're also in the GB Speedway team for the under-21s, as we've discussed. Let's just hear from Chris Louis, because the youth setup in British Speedway is very close to his heart. He is, of course, the promoter at Ipswich Speedway, but a board director at British Speedway Promoters Limited. And here's what he had to say about the British successes over the course of the last weekend.
Yeah, the lads all just showed how much they're coming on. They're accomplished performers now. Obviously, both here and in particular in Poland, where the world scene is kind of all about at the moment. So I was really pleased to see the 3 lads do so well, and on top of that, Tom Brennan getting 4 rides at Glasgow and getting himself 9 points was fantastic. Showing that he can mix it with some of the best in the world. We're making strides with the Rising Stars and No Limits and Team GB Academy and the various programs that we're lucky to have, and it's slowly making a difference. But those guys need to see the likes of Dan and Robert and Adam doing what they're doing and actually making progress, moving on to the world scene. So we're just going to wish them the best now in the challenge.
Well, there's Chris Louis there, and special praise for Tom Brennan, who is our guest in this episode in that. Tom, just talk us through some of the work that goes on that fans don't see as a Speedway rider, because you're putting a lot of work in. Your success hasn't come overnight. You've been working very hard with a lot of the right people, but also there's various help coming from Team GB as well. And as Chris Louis mentioned there, the No Limits programme and the various training that's going on, even in the off-season, to help improve the upcoming talent and give you the best chance of following in their footsteps of the likes of Dan Bewley or Ty Woofenden, Robert Lambert and so on.
Where do I even start? Sort of work never really stops. It never really sort of stops mentally, never really sort of stops physically. You're always watching bikes, and obviously at the stage that I am in my career, bikes are very much to do yourself too. And you come home from a meeting, you obviously drive home, and it's probably three in the morning, some cases, especially from Glasgow. So and then have to wake up, do the bikes, and then go again, and you might have a double header, and it's all hard work. But I'm very lucky to have a good team behind me. Obviously, Carl Cummings, who is my mechanic, he's been very good since the start of the year, and very grateful to have him, and obviously all the other support around me. And like you say, with the Team GB stuff, that's a great honour to be a part of. Once again, I mean, I've been a part of that from their No Limits team, which is like their sort of youth category, since about 2018. So quite a while now, and the distance that I've come from then to where I'm at now is obviously huge. And mainly in the off season. It's a huge help because you can be very lazy in the off season. You can sort of sit back and go, this is the life, and obviously eat and drink whatever you want, and have a bit of fun, which is obviously all what it's about. But they then get you into shape for the start of the year and sort of get your head right, which is obviously a main thing in Speedway. And I'm obviously very grateful, and I'm sure a lot of the other boys are very grateful to be a part of it. And even people like Charles Wright and obviously Carl Howarth, all those people that are obviously a bit older, they're obviously involved in it too to try and help them. So Team GB aren't solely just about the youth. They obviously trying to help all of British Speedway, and I think they're doing a very good job of it. So I'm very, very honoured and very pleased to be part of this situation we've got going. So,
and also they work on the mental aspect of both competition and keeping yourself right in that department as well, which is something that never used to be part of Speedway. If you talk to some of the old timers, shall we say, that was never part of it. But they'll all tell you that it is crucial to success, and they all wish that they'd had that kind of support.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, mentally is probably 90-95% of Speedway. I could be the fittest, most bravest guy in Speedway, and not be able to score a point, but it's mainly the people that are very good on the bike, that can read situations very well, and that have that self-belief that obviously people, as in athletes, need. So for me, that's obviously been a huge struggle for myself personally, and obviously start of this year has been a huge mental game in to try and get myself into that right mindset, and I've had some very good people to help me with that, and to sort of make me realise how important that is. Because if you're confident and you believe in yourself, you believe in your equipment, you believe in your team, everything, that then is a huge part in your whole success. And like you say, I think mentally, obviously everyone sort of knows to be good at Speedway, to be good at any sort of professional sport, you need to be mentally strong. So for me, that's obviously a huge part of it. And obviously to try and keep yourself feeling good and, sleeping well and eating well, all that sort of stuff comes into play too. But it all mainly comes down to your mental aspect, really. So no, exactly. And
so, how did you get started in Speedway? What was your way into it, and all that kind of stuff?
So, my brother Ben, so he actually used to race grass track, and before I could even remember, probably on a little peewee KTM bike or whatever, when I was probably about 4 years old, jumping over little tyres or whatever, and it was always, when can I do my first grass track meeting? And as soon as I turned 6, which was the age you could actually get a licence, we then went straight into the grass track scene, and that was that was a great time in my life, and was a great time for my family, because everyone knows grass track is always a real fun thing to be a part of. And before we knew it, we ended up going pretty good, and we sort of won a few championships in the grass track when I was very young, which was really cool. And obviously, as a little kid, you don't really sort of respect or sort of understand what you're doing at that time. So for me, that was really cool. And then we sort of got involved in the Speedway purely because of my brother again. We sort of gave it a crack, and we didn't really know what we were doing. We used to turn up with this bike, and used to have a stand, or used to just have the petrol can, and that was it. So it was very much raw sort of racing for me. And it was only until we really met Martin Dugard that things really sort of made the change for the Speedway. Obviously before then it was always a grass track, and when we met Martin, it sort of changed to the Speedway. And since then, I've never looked back, and I've enjoyed every moment that I've had, and I want to keep taking these moments that I have now, especially like the Grand Prix qualifiers and anything that I can, and to try and make my career into what I want it to be, because that's always been the dream, and people have put a lot of money, a lot of time into me, and I want to prove to them that obviously this is what I want to do. And yeah,
I think if you're under the wing of somebody like Martin Dugard, you're never going to be far wrong in the Speedway world.
No, obviously Martin and the whole Dugard family have a massive name behind them too, and Martin's helped me since I was very young, and he's pretty much my dad now. Obviously he's been he's been there since day one for me, really. So to keep having him by my side and showing me the way around, and obviously Martin at times can be pretty ruthless, which everybody knows, but that's only to help me. So I'm very grateful to have that, and obviously my girlfriend's been a huge part of what's been going on lately. You know, she's been a huge rock for me, and like I say, everything that's going on at the moment, I've just been very lucky to have these people around me, and I continue to work hard and to keep proving to them that this is what I want to do. So.
Oh, good for you. And I think people will hear you talking like that and see that, you know, that you've got solid grounding behind you, that you're not, you know, it's not kind of any fluke that the success you're having. There's a lot of work gone in, and you've got good people around you. So, you know, fantastic for you. Let's look at the some action then from this week. We'll come to the Glasgow qualifier in the next part of the podcast, so that's on the way, but we're going to turn our attention to the Premiership first up and look at the action from last night. Peterborough against Ipswich, Panthers top of the table. People scoffed at the dad's army that they'd put together, as it's been called. Experience paying off, combined age of around 250 I think it is, but they have got three ex-Grand Prix riders and a strong young talent in Jordan Palin, and if they can stay fit, the Panthers are a tough team to beat, aren't they?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know, people can sort of take the mick as much as they want, but you know, that's a very experienced, very good team, and you sort of turn up there and it's like every sort of childhood name that you see, and you know, it's like, wow, you know, this is really happening. And obviously for Jordan to be a part of that too. I mean, obviously you mentioned Jordan Palin then, he's only what, 16, 17 at the moment, I think. And for him to be at the level that he's at now, he's obviously doing a really, really good job. And I'm sure to have those people around him, like Nichols and obviously Bjarne and all them are probably pushing him forward massively. You know, he's probably years ahead of a lot of guys. I would say definitely years ahead of a lot of guys. And you know, I think Jordan will keep getting better, and obviously it's only the start, and he hasn't even done a year in the Championship before the start of this year, so for him it's obviously all learning and experience, same as it is for all of us. But yeah, as you say, Peterborough have been doing well, but you know, there's obviously things to come from Bellevue yet, and I believe the whole Bellevue team is really good, and I'm obviously very pleased to be part of that, and I hope we can get a few matches soon to get us up that table. So.
Well, it was Peterborough who took the spoils. They moved top of the Premiership with a tense 47-43 win over local rivals Ipswich at the East of England Arena. Bjarne Pedersen and skipper Scott Nichols were the Panthers' heroes in a last heat decider with a second successive 4-2 after Ulrich Ostergaard had superbly overtaken Jake Allen in Heat 14 to set up the victory. Let's hear from one of those heroes right now. Here's Bjarne Pedersen with Dave Rowe.
Bjarne, well done. A really good meeting for you and a vital Heat 15 win.
Yeah, Heat 13 and 15 was very important today. Ipswich really pushed us all the way today, and I think they was leading most of the meeting. So it was very important to keep the win at home going. So
it's good to have choice of gates in Heat 15, and clearly you wanted gate 1 and you made the best use of it.
Yeah, you know, probably there was a bit payback time from gate 2 and 4 in Heat 1. So.
Yes.
You know, Peterborough is such a nice track, but also a very fast track. And you see King, Cook and Adam Ellis, they was so fast there today. So really need making start to make life a bit easier out there.
But over the last couple of weeks, you seem to have found the speed in this track. Obviously, you had a really tough night, the first one here, but since then, you've gradually built up and you're looking like the real Bjarne Pedersen.
Yeah, I still don't know why I didn't score in my first meeting, you know. But that's how it is. That's how it is with Speedway sometimes. We learn a lot about tires, about pressure, about my engines and setup. So I think all in all, that's what the count now. So.
Everyone is talking about the tyres. We know there have been problems. How was tonight's new set?
I not feel any different compared to the other model we did use. So it's just a hard question for the moment. So I think we could easily do 4 heat on one tire tonight, but go in Heat 15 and you know third race on same size. I think that'll be pushed a bit.
Yeah, sure. Team as a whole, team is winning. Team must be happy. You're actually top of the league tonight, so really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not one or two men cannot win meetings. So we all put points in, and that's what count in the end of the night. And that's also what will count for the whole season. That is, everybody's putting points in.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
So 3 points for the Peterborough Panthers takes them top of the Premiership table at this stage of the season. But what about the Ipswich Witches? They've had a tough time over the last few weeks, but they did get a consolation point. Richie Hawkins has been talking to Ryan Guest.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to complain about. We rode well. I thought we did good. Obviously our position we could have done with a win, but yeah, we took a point, and I think we put in a lot better performance, much improved. So, yeah, lots of positives.
I was going to say, after the run of form the Witches have been on, it must be a relief just to add a point to the tally.
Yeah, we need everything. Everyone's going to be vital at the end. At some point we're going to have to kick on and win some away meetings and make sure we start winning at home. But, that's a nice... that could be a nice start here tonight.
Yeah, obviously with the injuries to so many riders in such a short space of time, how difficult a period has this been for the Witches?
Yeah, it's been one of the toughest, I guess, since I've been in charge. It's been, all the excitement of finally getting back racing, and then great start to the season really, and then it all fell apart really quickly. But that's life, and everyone will go through sort of tough spells. So we've rebuilt. Hopefully Jason will be back soon, and we can sort of kick on from here.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously brought Craig Cook and Paul Stark in. You mentioned Jason Crump there. Rumour was he was going to be testing himself on a bike. Any further updates on that?
Yeah, he's had a couple of practices. He's not quite fit yet, so another week, and hopefully he'll be back on Monday.
Yeah, and obviously a trip to Sheffield on Thursday. Obviously not an easy place to go, one win under their belts already at Alderton. But nevertheless, there does seem a rising spirit in the camp here at Ipswich.
Yeah, definitely. I think, it's... good. We need to go and perform again like we did tonight. Fight hard, and, there's people are capable, teams are capable of winning anywhere. Sheffield, it's going to be a tough place for us to go, but if all our team perform to their capabilities, then we can obviously get a result. So they're a very good team, but I don't think really. I know we've had a bad run of form, but when you look at the team on paper and their capabilities, I think we are.
Many thanks for your time as always, Richie.
Cheers, mate.
The Ipswich team boss Richie Hawkins there with Ryan Guest. Ipswich, of course, have had a little bit of a rocky time after a great start. They've hit some bumps with unfortunate injuries, as we were hearing, and it sounds like Jason Crump is close to making a return, which is going to be hugely welcome. But of course, there's always some mechanical gremlins and form and things that are kind of out of your hands as a rider. My guest in this episode is Tom Brennan, rising star with the Bellevue Aces, a rider for the Eastbourne Eagles. And Tom, tell us about those things that are sort of out of your hands sometimes. You can do your best in the workshop, get your bike set up what you think is going to be perfect, but it doesn't always translate on the night, does it? Best laid plans and all that. It's a funny old game. Yeah,
it's obviously Speedway is so unpredictable. I mean, you can think one thing goes really good one day, and then you jump on the next day at a different track, and it's completely different. Obviously, because of the shale, because of the track, because of the weather, because of the temperature, obviously everything is such a big variable in Speedway, and it's so hard to get things consistent and to try and get them working every single time. But I've been very lucky with Peter John's been helping me quite a lot this year, and he's definitely helped me so much with the setups. And like you say, we now have a couple engines from him that we know works good on these conditions and this time, and it's only trying to make myself adapt to make those bikes work now, because I know I have some good engines now, and machinery for me isn't really a problem. It's more so myself being able to ride them properly. So obviously you always want something that's fast, but maybe fast isn't always the best way, so you have to try and figure out those sort of variables and those sort of things that can happen. And I'm sure the best riders in the world probably have everything like that sorted out. But for me, it's obviously trying to figure out what's best for me at this moment in time. And I'm very, very sure that what I have with Peter Johns at the moment is very good.
Well, your next meeting, Tom, for the Bellevue Aces is an away trip to the Kings Lynn Stars. We can hear now from the boss of Kings Lynn, Peter Schroek. He's been chatting with Ryan Guest ahead of that clash with the Aces.
Might only be the third home meeting of the season for the Stars on Thursday night. Is it fair to say it's already a must-win fixture?
100%. You know, I mean, we can't afford to lose any more matches. You know, is the matches we lost, obviously, was a lot of circumstances which just it just wasn't working. So as everybody could see, you know, we made some drastic changes along the way, and it worked at Ipswich. You know, we were struggling here at Peterborough. We came here without Louis, which, you know, is always going to be tough, and with the tyre issue and one thing and another what we had here, so it was a little bit hectic. But, you know, we're sort of picking ourselves up now again, and like I said, you know, at home it's a must-win fixture for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned the drastic changes, and those three faces going to be in front of the home supporters for the first time on Thursday night.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and I mean, I'm really confident with the way the team is gelling together and the way it's looking. So, you know, everybody's getting on really well, and yeah, long may it last, so hopefully we can turn it around.
One boost for the Stars. Club captain Louis Kerr going to be back in the side. Made a successful comeback on Saturday night in the GP qualifier, in a bit of pain, obviously. Less than 2 weeks after breaking his collarbone, but like I say, a big boost for the team to have him back.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, he's a very important member of the squad, and you know, he's a good captain. You know, he keeps everybody together. He's local. You know, yeah, what can you say? You know, I mean, for a man to come back after 7 days, you know, with a plate in his arm and going in a World Championship round, it just shows you what he's made of. And, you know, he was in pain, you know, but he worked his way through it. He's still got a few days off now, so, yeah, he'd be lining up on Thursday and hopefully, you know, come up with the goods.
So there's the Kings Lynn team boss, Peter Schroek. Joining me in this episode right the way throughout is Tom Brennan, who is the rising star at the Bellevue Aces and will be involved in that meeting against the Kings Lynn Stars on Thursday. What's the Bellevue take on this then? You're looking to derail those must-win plans, no doubt.
I mean, as you say, I mean, obviously Kings Lynn have had a lot of changes, and obviously that's very hard for a team, especially for a team manager, to try and sort out the boys and obviously try and sort out what's going on, because obviously team spirit, team atmosphere is obviously a huge thing for team speedway. So, you know, for them to keep changing the team around, obviously maybe something that isn't their fault, but that's sort of come on them. And obviously a lot of team changes also, you know, it's obviously hard for them. So like you say, I mean, they've obviously been trying to do the best from a bad situation at the moment, and I'm sure they'll be coming out guns firing, and same with us. You know, obviously we want to try and win as much as we can. You know, no one wants to come last or come second. So for us, it's trying to do the same thing. It's trying to just get all our heads straight, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't go and win there. You know, obviously we've got some very good riders in Bellevue. Obviously Brady, Dan. I mean, people. Charles Wright. You know, there's people there that are top class spear riders, and there's no reason why we can't go there and go and win. And I understand it's a very big meeting for Kings Lynn, but it's also, every meeting's a very big meeting for everybody, you know. So yeah, for us, it's trying to come away as much points as possible and take it home to Bellevue. So.
Yeah, and what's your experience of riding Kings Lynn in the past? It's a track that I know that the GB set up practice on quite a bit over the time, so you must have a few laps under your belt round there. Yeah.
I mean, I've been very lucky to have the Team GB practices, and I believe we've been there twice already with them, maybe 3 times actually during the winter. We've had some practice races, which is always good. Obviously, tapes up, because that obviously helps with the actual racing, because it's all well doing laps and laps and laps of a track and riding the same line and not learning anything, you know. So for us to go there and to have the tapes up and to have 4 of us at a line, it was like, wow, you know, this is a race. And to have that experience, to have that knowledge before we even go there to race is definitely a benefit. And obviously you can see, I think Anders Rowe went there for the first time, and I think he ended up going really, really well. And that obviously, that's a proven thing, you know. Obviously you practice hard, you work hard, and you'll get the results. And like you say, I mean, I haven't really had, other than the practice days, I haven't actually ridden there in a meeting at all.
Right, okay.
So it's a pretty new experience as far as that goes. I've done plenty of practice days. I think I've done the under 15s actually in the British youth. I've done a meeting there, but that's all. So for me, it's a new experience, and it's trying to, obviously all comes back down to trying to have self-belief and confidence that obviously we can do it, and I believe all the boys will have that same mentality. So no, I'm obviously very excited and hope that we can come away with the win.
Yeah, that's going to be Kings Lynn versus Bellevue. Also on Thursday is Sheffield versus Ipswich. We've heard from Richie Hawkins of Ipswich already, and we're going to hear from Adam Ellis, who rides for Sheffield, but also now Scunthorpe. He's made that move this week. We're going to hear more about how that is possible and what's gone on there. And, of course, his success in Terenzano, where he grabbed one of the places in the Speedway Grand Prix Challenge later in August. So more to come from Adam Ellis. The other story from the Premiership, which has made the headlines this week and pretty fresh at the time of recording actually, is Wolves, who have snapped up the talented teenager Leon Klindt, former British youth champion, joins the Mon More Men as their rising star, following the surprise retirement, of course, of Tom Bacon. Let's hear now from Leon Klindt. He's been talking with Ryan Guest.
Well, Leon, obviously a massive moment in your career, landing your first Premiership team spot with Wolverhampton. How do you feel?
I'm very excited. I don't think I could have landed myself a better spot with not only the experience they've got of riders, but the experience they've got of management, etc. With Chris and Peter, I think I can only bounce off what they've got to what advice they've got to give me.
Yeah, you talk about the experience some of the Wolverhampton riders have got. One of those in particular is the club captain, Rory Schlein, and someone who has recommended you highly to the Wolverhampton management as well.
Yeah, Rory's a good lad. He's been helping me in the last 3 years get to where I am with all the stuff we've been doing with the track days, etc. and stuff like that. And yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure that him and all the other boys will be able to help me in some places.
You had your first taste of Premiership action with a guest booking for Wolves at Peterborough last Monday. You certainly appeared to slot in with the team there well, and while you weren't able to trouble the scorers on that occasion, it must have been a big learning curve for yourself.
Yeah, I know most of the lads anyway, so I think it was only really Luke that I've never met before, but it was all okay. I think my results didn't show for the way I rode. Every single race I went out in, at the first corner, I was already 2 bike lengths behind, and just off the start, and that's what was killing it for me. I would say I was on the pace. I just really struggled to get out the start, and I think I've got understood what was going wrong there, and I'll have that ready and fixed for the next one.
Monmouth Green is going to be your new home track in the Premiership, and I actually remember your first visit there in the National League in 2018, and you had to endure a couple of spills there, and it's certainly going to be the sort of track which should help you develop and bring you on if you can crack it between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, totally. I'll be 100% honest. It's not it's not the best track that I perform at, but if I can come away at the end of the season scoring some pretty good points there and being comfortable there, then I've achieved what I've went there to do.
Yeah, and just finally, the only downside, I guess, is that you have got to give up your team spot in the National League with the Berwick Bullets, but at the end of the day, those are the kind of sacrifices you've got to make to keep climbing up that ladder.
Absolutely gutted that I'm not racing in the team now, but by no means am I leaving the team. I'll still be there for most of the meetings, even if I've got a free day. I'll be jumping in the van with one of the local boys, going down, helping out and stuff like that, because it's I don't feel like my job's done with that. The team. I was captain then. I think the captaincy will be getting put onto Kyle now, but even if I can help out just in the pits with all the boys and hopefully bring them on, like what I was doing whilst I was in the team, then I'll be happy.
So the Rising Star system is something that gives youngsters their break in bigger teams, and there is Leon Flint, who's got his opportunity now with Wolves, replacing Tom Bacon. The Rising Star for the Bellevue Aces is with us in this episode throughout. It's Tom Brennan. Tom, it's great that Leon's finally got his chance, because a lot of people have said that really if there's a rider that needs considering for one of these spots should they arise, it is Leon, and finally he's there.
Yeah, I mean, first off, obviously Tom Bacon retiring was obviously a huge shock to Speedway. I think Tom Bacon's been around for quite a while, and for him not to be lining up at the tapes is obviously a huge sort of shock for everyone, and obviously even bigger shock for Wolverhampton, I'm sure, when he told him. But obviously wish him the best and hope he has with obviously whatever he's doing now. So you say with Leon, I mean, he's been pushing for that top league spot for quite a while now, and I think to not have the opportunity to start the year was a little bit unfortunate, but you have to try and take those things, and he's obviously taken it with both hands, and he's obviously worked hard and shown that he's more than capable, and good on him, and I think he's more than capable. So it's obviously great news for him, and let's hope he can carry that form on, because I think he's a very good rider, and like you say, I mean, he just needs that one opportunity, and he obviously has that now. So let's see how he gets on.
Looks like he's been talent spotted by Rory Schlein as well, of course, who you'll have worked with too in the youth setup as well. Yeah, Rory's been great. I mean, Rory's been amazing for all of us, and Rory's a very enthusiastic sort of character, and for him to be around us, to be excited is what he does, and it obviously gives us a big boost too. And people like that you obviously need in the sport, because you can get, you can be very boring and whatever you want to be, but he's very upbeat, and he's helped me a lot, and he's also helped the rest of the boys. So, like you say, I mean, if he's obviously by a Leon side now, and to have him in the same team when he's fit will be a great boost for Leon, and will be a great boost for everyone else in the team. So. There's Tom Brennan, Rising Star at the Bellevue Aces. I'm Ian Brannan, has been in broadcasting. That's how it goes. It's the Brennan Brannan Show this week on No Breaks, No Fear. And next, we're turning our attention to that big fixture last weekend at Glasgow's Ashfield Stadium, when all eyes were on the competitors there. And it's a match that's been talked about around the world for the quality of the racing, and some surprise performances too. Not least, our very own Tom Brennan delivering 9 points from reserve. What an experience, beating one of his idols as well in former world champion Chris Holder. We're going to hear more about that experience next on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
This week, very special guest, and a lot of fans are calling him the rider of the weekend for his heroics at Glasgow. Tom Brennan, who got 9 points from reserve at the Grand Prix qualifier in Glasgow. It was an unfortunate set of circumstances, of course, that led to you getting so many rides, with Terra Arnio getting injured, and you were also out in the first heat when Bradley Wilson-Dean got excluded. So you were very much chucked in at Speedway's deep end, but boy, did you swim.
Yeah, exactly. It was really unfortunate. I mean, to have Bradley Wilson-Dean and obviously Terry Arnio have that crash, and obviously that's always not good. Obviously when you see a crash like that, and they're obviously down on the track for a while, and I think there was a big delay, and the stadium was just silent. So for us, it was a pretty horrible experience. But as a rider and as a racer, you have to try and put that behind you, and that's definitely what I did. And I had the opportunity, and like you say, I took it with both hands. I definitely wasn't letting this one go, and we did the practice at obviously 1:30, 1:00, and we then didn't have the meeting till 7. And I was saying to our mechanic, I was like, God, what are we going to do all in this time? And we then ended up washing the bike, because we thought, if we don't get a ride, obviously bike's all clean and we're all done, we look good and whatever. So we were the only ones to wash a bike during the practice, and that was a bit of a surprise, but we did it. And then to go out in Heat 1, obviously before the meeting, you're like, imagine if I'm in Heat 1 off of Gate 4, and obviously happened, and it was like a big shock, and it was sort of putting my helmet on, like, is this actually going to happen? And for me, it was a huge surprise. Things were a little bit rushed, but we were prepared and we were ready, and I think the results showed that. We were mentally, mechanically, we were a step ahead of what I would have been a few years ago, and that obviously definitely showed. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and very grateful for all the help that I have.
It was a fantastic Speedway event all round, some brilliant racing. I mean, you'll struggle to find a better meeting, I think, probably this year, and there will certainly be worse Grand Prix than that as we go through the season. And for you to be involved and have such a good display and get your name out there and people sit up and take notice must have just been a fantastic opportunity, even though it did come in the circumstances of another rider being injured, but you took your chance.
Just trying to prove what I can do. There was obviously no pressure, and it was just go out and do what you can do, and that was it, and that was mentality. We sort of come in from every ride, and it was smiling, because this was a meeting that I shouldn't have been in, but I was in, and we took it with both hands, and it was just it was a very relaxed but very, very good meeting, and yeah, so.
You scored 9 points on the night. I think your peak would be Heat 12 up against Chris Holder, the 2012 World Champion, and here's how it unfolded.
So here we go, heat number 14. Can Holder do it from the outside gate? Gate number 2, that's a good start from Max Ruddle, the American. Holder's been squeezed wise now. Chris Holder has got work to do because here comes Tom Brennan. He's only a reserve, Tom Brennan, and he's carving up heat number 14 brilliantly here. Holder now is going to take up the challenge. He's passed Max Ruddle, but Tom Brennan of the Bellevue Aces and the Eastbourne Eagles is leading the 2012 World Champion Chris Holder.
Yeah, he's got himself into superposition. Chris Holder didn't, and now Chris Holder has got a man in a mission. Tom Brennan is fast though, and Chris Holder's trying the inside line. That's one of Craig Cook's favourite particular manoeuvres, but he may have to just go high, wide and handsome as he goes into the last lap. He may have to try something special.
This is a great ride from Tom Brennan, rider number 17, talented youngster, goes into turns 3 and 4. Here comes Holder. Chris Holder tries to do what Nicolai Klindt did. Down to the line they go. Brennan blocks the challenge. Oh my God, that was an absolutely fantastic race. And Tom Brennan really mixing it up with the 2012 champion of the world. Hats off to Tom Brennan and Chris Holder for a truly wonderful speedway race here at Glasgow.
We'll hear from Tom in just a sec on his thoughts on that race. First of all, let's hear from the 2012 World Champion Chris Holder. He's with Phil Lanning.
Back on the World Championship trail, well and truly.
Yeah, it was a solid night, mate. Obviously Glasgow in the past has been a bit tricky, but the track tonight was great, and like I said before, credit to all the club. In the lockdown they've obviously put in a bunch of work, and it showed tonight with the racing, and some good riders here today put on a good show. It was excellent, man. Come here to get through and managed to get through, so yeah, stoked with that. It's good.
Is this a statement from Chris Holder that I'm still here and I'm still battling?
Yeah, I'm definitely still chipping away. Obviously come here, I really wanted to get through, and I wasn't really worried to win or whatever, just get through, because I believe I should be in the top 4 in this sort of meeting anyway, and but everything felt good, man. It was a little bit, I was probably a little bit annoyed at the used jack stuff. I really wanted my own stuff, but it was too much of a hassle, and
hey, that's what family are for.
It is, but I don't like his setup. It's more for him, but no, it worked out perfect, mate. It was good, and so thanks to Jackie for that and his mechanic, and yeah, it was an overall good night.
There was there's a couple of sensational races tonight. In your last race with Charles Wright, when you switched back down the back straight, a track like this, does it give you confidence to really throw yourself about?
Yeah, like I said, it was prepared so well, and a little bit slick, but it's safe, and you can go everywhere. The inside was working really good, the outside was working, and it was like there was not much in them. They both had their sort of pros and cons, but yeah, that was a cool little race with Charles there. Had a little battle, and it's always nice to get one over, or when you have a battle, come out on top. I went down to young Tom in the race before, and I was like, I needed a couple of points in the last one. I'm thinking, come on, just win this one, you know what I mean? But no, he rode really well, and I tried to not scare him, but get him to move up. But he did awesome, so good on him.
Well, the man of that race, Tom Brennan, is with us in this episode of No Breaks, No Fear. You've got the 2012 World Champion breathing down your shoulders in an FIM meeting, a Grand Prix qualifier for 4 laps. You held him off and got the win. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go on too much because obviously everyone that sort of knows me knows that Chris Holder is my favourite rider. So for me, yeah, he was an idol for me when I was very young, and all the time, when he won his World Championship, it was always like, well, this is who I want to win. And when he left the Grand Prix, I didn't feel like it was the same. All that sort of stuff. I can carry on about that all day. But now for me to be lined up next to him, I mean, in all honesty, in those situations when you're racing someone like that, I've sort of had the mentality, obviously they're just names, and I know that sounds bad because they aren't just names, but as a rider, you need to try and get that mindset doesn't matter who it is that's next to you. You just need to try and beat whoever it is. And holding him off for 4 laps. I mean, I didn't even know it was Chris, and come over the line, and I was like, wow, this is a really cool feeling. And you need to enjoy moments like that, because those moments don't obviously come around too often. And for me, it was definitely a huge career highlight for me, and just very grateful to have that, and obviously all the support after the race. To have all the people come and say, well done, and all them sort of things that obviously mean a lot. So no, very, very happy with that, and hopefully I can carry that form on. So.
Well, you can be pretty sure that Chris Holder knows who you are now. That's the thing. Tom Brennan, our guest in this episode. Let's now hear from the winner of the event on the night at Glasgow, Tobiasz Musielak, the Polish rider finishing with a 15-point maximum, despite having never ridden the Ashfield circuit before. In fact, I'm not sure he'd ever seen it before. Let's hear from him now. He's with Phil Lanning.
Yeah, I hope the fans say that 2022 will be my GP, but it's easy. Of course, it's challenge now be in front of me, so I have to slow down at the moment, enjoying now this night, but as I said before, easy. I was pretty fast today, and on Brady's bikes, so that was a great night for me. Enjoying the track, the really great racetrack. So
So it was a Polish win with help from Australia.
That's it. Yeah, of course. He said no problem. So that's great about like friendship. Yeah. So thanks to Brady again. That was nice from him.
First time here, and what did you think of Glasgow?
Actually, I haven't been in the city large, because I went just for dinner.
What about the track here and the stadium?
Yeah, the track and stadium is beautiful. It would be great if GP would be welcome over here, because the racetrack is just awesome.
Okay, well listen, congratulations, and you had a great support here tonight as well, considering you're a long way from home.
Thanks to all supporters from Poland, and not only.
And a win for Swindon, unexpectedly as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, congratulations. Thanks. Cheers.
Tobiasz Musielak there with huge Polish following in that meeting, which is great to see. And he's making calls for the Glasgow track to be hosting a Grand Prix in future. Tom Brennan is with us, and he got 4 rides from reserve at that GP qualifier at Glasgow. And Tobiasz Musielak was one of the riders that you came up against. How was that, and what was it like racing against Tobiasz?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, definitely laid a marker down, and he was very good that night. There was no way around it. He was very good. He was very sharp and very fast. And I've obviously never spoken to Tobiasz before, but the way he rides a bike is very good. He's very smooth, and he turned up. It didn't practice, so to see the track for the first time in Heat 1 or whatever it was, that was pretty cool, because you sort of knew that he hadn't really rode there. I don't know if he rode there before, but he definitely didn't do the practice, and he turned up with Brady Kurt's bikes, and when he did the business. So you can't really fault him. So no, very cool to see that.
Another rider qualifying for the Grand Prix Challenge in August then is Nicolai Klindt, who had some impressive races, including one where he caught Eric Riss right on the line. That was a bit of a thriller. Let's hear now from Nicolai Klindt. He is with Phil Lanning.
Nicolai Klindt, job done.
Yeah, you can say so. It was a little bit nerve-wracking after my first heat, because I dropped the point due to a mistake. But kept calm, focused for my last few heats. Would have liked to have won the last one, but Tobiasz came sneaking past me. But I knew a second place was enough, and that the aim was to go through. So.
Is it important for you to sort of show that you belong in this stage and that you should be in these meetings and qualifying?
Yeah, 100%. I believe I'm good enough. I don't really care what other people are saying. I do believe I'm good enough, and my speed is quick enough to be amongst the best guys in the world. I just need to find a bit more consistency, and I felt I did that tonight. Good start, fast, picked out some good passes as well. So I'd like to bring that on to next one meetings.
Must ask you about Glasgow. The guys all said tonight it was a really good racetrack to really hurl yourself in. The racing was fantastic. How do you feel? I mean, I think it's 3 years since you were last here?
Yeah, I was last in 18. It was completely different. There was more material on the track. But like I've said so many times before in the UK press, it is, bar pool of course, it is the best club in Britain for sure. Everything, like through the day there's been food, no questions asked, it's been superb. And I know probably big ask, but I would love to see a GP here in the future.
And 5 rides from the Grand Prix.
Yeah. One heat at a time.
I thought you'd say that. Listen, thanks for your time and well done. Cheers, Nick.
Thank you.
Nicolai Klindt with Phil Lanning there after that Grand Prix qualifier in Glasgow. A word of appreciation for the Polish support. I mean, you can't knock that. Listen to the noise they're making. Not exactly conducive for interviews, but nonetheless, they're having a good time. And hey, if it's the first time that they've been to the Ashfield Stadium, hopefully they're going to make a repeat trip if they're local to the area. Fantastic stuff. Tom Brennan is with us. Nicolai Klindt, Tom, well known in British Speedway, clearly he's opted out this year. His top aim, though, is to qualify for the Speedway Grand Prix, and a giant step towards that at the weekend.
Oh, definitely. You know, I think Nicolai's always a ultra professional, and you sort of turn up and his bike's very, very clean and very nice, and everything is in one place. You know, so he is very, very professional in that respect. He's also he rode really well at Glasgow. You know, he rode pretty aggressive, which obviously I'm sure everyone has seen, and that's obviously what you need to do to be in those situations. And for him, you know, it's great to see him going well, because he's also helped me out a lot too. So for him, great meeting for him, and let's hope he can get into the Grand Prix, because he fully deserves that opportunity. So
that was the 3 qualifiers, and the final spot was down to a runoff between Dan Bewley and Rasmus Jensen, both ex-Glasgow riders, and Dan Bewley got the job done in the end and goes through to the Grand Prix Challenge, and here he is speaking with Phil Lanning.
You know, I felt good tonight, but it's a real tough meeting. It was probably, I would say, almost harder than the SEC, because you know, it's a different track, and you know, you're against a lot of riders that, you know, ride in the championship, and you have tracks like this all the time. You know, with some patchy clay and some, you know, it's quite tricky. So it was hard work tonight, but once we got it figured out, we had some good speed, and got there in the end. But yeah, it wasn't an easy meeting, and you know, some great riders in it tonight. You know, like me and Razzo, we was pretty close down to the wire, and you know, he's been riding awesome. So you know, just huge relief to get through.
And you'll probably scold me for saying this. You are 5 races from the Grand Prix series, which seems remarkable for little Dan Bewley that we've seen so much of, and over the years to be that tantalisingly close. But you'll tell me it's a long way away, August.
No, I like I'll run with your thing in 5 races away. Sounds real good, but
is that a dream come true? The kid from Maryport is so close.
Yeah, you know, like before this year, I wouldn't have said that the GPs was something I was thinking about too much, you know, for next year. But you know, now we're only 5 rides away. You know, it kind of opens the eyes of it. Like, you know, I can be there, going good in the league now. That was the focus for this year. So, you know, as you say, 5 rides away, and now we're getting closer to it. You know, I want to be there now. So, hopefully.
Has it come quicker than you thought this year, maybe? Or closer? I know you're not there yet, but I'm saying to be the progress you've made has been rapid this year.
Yeah, but the goal for this year was to, you know, get going in the extra league, and you know, get going for Bellevue as well, obviously. But you know, as far as I look at it, qualifying for the GPs, you know, I'm in a really strong team at Rosslare, but you know, I'm still not quite, you know, one of the top 3 heat leaders, and I feel like to be a GP rider, you should be one of those. So that's still the focus, to kind of get going, you know, a little bit better in the extra league. It's been going good, just keep going for more, and you know, if we get there, you know, hopefully we can get into GPs eventually. But you know, for now, if it comes, I won't turn it away. But yeah, just keep going how we're doing, and enjoying it.
There's Dan Bewley, of course, one of the Bellevue Aces team members, and one of his teammates, Tom Brennan, is with us in this episode of No Breaks, No Fear. And Dan there making the point that whilst he has qualified for the Grand Prix Challenge in August, and it's not really one of his main aims, but obviously he's not going to say no to qualifying for the Grand Prix, but his improvement over this last year, teaming up with Ty Woofenden, being part of that strong Rosslare team. They're working closely with Greg Hancock, and all that kind of resource that they've got there has really made a difference to him, hasn't it?
Yeah, massively. I mean, as you say, I mean, he obviously has Ty helping him. I'm sure obviously Woofy's helped him loads and obviously given him a lot of stuff and given him a lot of advice. But it ultimately comes down to I think Dan's made huge obviously sacrifices in his life to be able to be where he is now. And I think he's worked with a lot of guys, and I think now he's definitely found what's worked. And yeah, I mean, obviously during the meeting you can noticeably see a difference between Dan this year and maybe Dan a few years ago. He's definitely a lot more professional now. He's just sharper, you know, and but most importantly, he's definitely enjoying his racing, and that's obviously ultimately what it comes down to. You know, he's enjoying it, and that's most of it. So yeah.
And listening to Dan Bewley there talking about how actually the Speedway Grand Prix are a little bit more achievable than maybe he previously planned. And must be the same for you, because, you know, you've gone into a meeting, you weren't expecting to get a ride, you ended up getting 4, you got 9 points. Had you got 5 rides, then possibly you could have got more. I know that your scores didn't count last week, but for the time that maybe will come in the future where it does count, you've got that in the mind that you have done it. You've beaten a world champion, you've almost got enough points to qualify for the GP Challenge. It must be hugely encouraging for you to know that, look, you can do it because you've done it.
Massive boost for me. Huge boost, and I'm still trying to get over it now, in all honesty, you know. So for me, it's a huge mental boost, and like you say, I think I come joint 6th. So to come joint 6th was a massive shock, you know. Obviously seeing the lineup and seeing the riders, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't even think about the riders, you know. I just sort of thought about myself, and if I had this opportunity, that's what I was going to do, and we obviously stuck to the plan, and everything went well, and I obviously can't complain, and hopefully I can carry this on to the next couple of meetings, and I don't really see there's any reason why not.
Well, someone else who made it through to the Grand Prix Challenge is Adam Ellis. He made it through from the Terenzano round in Italy. And Adam Ellis features in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear, because we're turning our attention to the Championship. And he's also made the move to Scunthorpe this week. We're going to find out more about that. We'll hear from Adam Ellis in just a couple of moments here on No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Ian Brannan, joined by Tom Brennan of the Bellevue Aces and the Eastbourne Eagles, and it's the Championship where we turn our attention right now, because quite a few fixtures on the way over the course of the coming few days. And Tom, in respect of the Eastbourne Eagles, you've not ridden as many meetings as some of the other teams in the Championship. You've only ridden 3 league meetings so far, so very early to tell how things have gone as far as looking at the league table's concerned. But how do you feel things have gone so far with the Eastbourne Eagles?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have a look at Eastbourne's team, and we have a great mix of experienced and pretty unexperienced guys. You know, obviously for myself, Drew and Jason, to have the help from Ed, obviously Richard Lawson and Louis, and obviously Kyle. You know, it's a great help for us, and I think we're more than capable of doing the job. You know, it's obviously a all British team, so that's obviously pretty cool for Speedway. Obviously for British Speedway. So yeah, I mean, we haven't had many meetings so far, and the meetings we have had have been pretty good. We had one at home the other day that sort of went a little bit wrong, but you know that was obviously down to us, and hopefully we can sort that performance out. But you know, hopefully we only have that one bad meeting, but you know, hopefully we can definitely put some more points on the board as soon as we get some more meetings. So.
Looking at Glasgow then, your next opponents, you're travelling back to Ashfield. They're fancied by many to be one of the favourites, but they've had their first setbacks in the last week. They've been beaten by Redcar and Scunthorpe over the last 7 days. And with yourself and Louis getting the extra laps last week, Richard Lawson, an ex-Tiger, could we be in for a surprise from the Eagles there?
I know we're a long way away from Glasgow, but I think to go there definitely won't faze us. And obviously, like you say, me and Louis, to go there for the Grand Prix Challenge, Andrew, you know, obviously to go there for the Grand Prix Challenge, and it was like, I mean, I can't obviously speak for them two, but for myself personally, that was more so practice, you know, for this meeting. That's how we looked at it. We looked at that as the practice day, and we look at Eastbourne for the meeting. So that was my mindset, you know, because obviously for me, it's I'm obviously contracted to Eastbourne, and that's obviously the place I want to be scoring points. And for me, it was great to have a few laps there, and I hope that the track is the same as it was when I was there before. But no, I'm sure Glasgow will do a good job, and I'm sure they'll make it easy for us. So.
If you listen carefully, there's a faint sound of a tractor starting up in Glasgow as they're scraping some of the dirt off or whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Well, let's hear from the Eastbourne captain right now, Lewis Kerr, who made a comeback from injury just a week after having shoulder surgery to have some plating put in his collarbone. He was back on a bike at that GP qualifier. Let's hear him now. He's been chatting with Ryan Guest.
Well, Louis, it was quite remarkable to see you back in competitive action on Saturday night in the Grand Prix qualifier at Glasgow, less than 2 weeks after breaking your collarbone, and it must have been a massive moment for yourself to go out and win your opening ride, even if the night did get tougher from there on in. Just talk us through how it was for yourself.
Yeah, overall I'm disappointed. Started great, sort of had 5 from 2 rides, and it was all going well, felt good, and then Tero Arnio and Wilson Dean had a big crash, and there was a long delay, and I think sort of the pain started to kick in, and I was sort of in a flow up until then, and so I don't think that helped. And just the pain really after every race was getting that bad that I don't know whether I was focusing as much as I could, but I wasn't making starts, and it just faded off really. But so overall, pretty disappointed. Just wish I'd have been 100%, but 7 days after surgery, so it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad at all. Certainly a hugely brave effort to everyone on the outside. You mentioned how the pain kicked in there. No regrets? Glad you came back as soon as you did?
Yeah, 100%, mate. We never had a call to do it to a GB qualifier, so no, I'm well chuffed that I done it, and 6 points is 6 points. It's not a complete disaster, so it could have been worse.
There's Lewis Kerr, the captain of the Eastbourne Eagles. He's heading back to Glasgow with the Eagles this time to take on the Glasgow Tigers this weekend. Another team that have been making the headlines this week are Scunthorpe. Now, this is a team that you've ridden against a few weeks ago. Are they the dark horses in the championship? Because many had them down as also-rans or not really going to compete. But the stats are showing that they are the team to beat at this stage of the season, scoring more points on average per meeting than any other team. And they've just made a massive change in releasing Josh Orty, who's injured. But Josh has been with the Scorpions for 10 years and he's going to be having his testimonial there. That's still going to be honoured later this season. But they've swapped out Josh Orty and brought in Adam Ellis. This surely just makes them stronger, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you see it, I had to sort of take a double take, because it was like, whoa, are you sure? This is crazy for them. And for them to have Adam Ellis in their team is, I think, is as good as Josh Orty is, and I'm sure he's injured at the moment, so I obviously wish him the best. But obviously for them to sort of counteract on that as quick as they did, to have Adam in is obviously great for them. But going back to what you said first of all, I mean, I think Scunthorpe are doing really good. It's so hard to go there and score some points because it's so different. You sort of talk to any rider that like doesn't race there and they go, what is this track? It's like so different and it's so slick and it's hard and it's different shape, and it's so hard to try and adapt there. And you do your first 2 rides and before you know it, you're almost at the end of the meeting and they're gone. So it's definitely takes a while to get set up there. Even with the practice days I had with Team GB, obviously Ian Sanderson, ATPI, obviously doing all that sort of stuff. I still went there and struggled. I had the first 2 rides and I think I scored 1 point, and I was like, wow, this is hard. And it was only till that point that you then turn it round. So they are so strong start of the meeting, and I think that's where they're getting most of their points. So, credit to them, and it's obviously great for them. So hopefully they can carry that on, but obviously not too far, because we're obviously going to be trying racing for them.
So no doubt you've got some questions about Adam Ellis's move to Scunthorpe. Well, he's with us to tell us all about it himself. First of all, though, talking about that GP qualifier. He had to go all the way to Terenzano in Italy, where he qualified after a run-off, and he's now in the Grand Prix Challenge in August. So let's hear about that first, and then details of his switch to Scunthorpe. He's with Ryan Guest.
What a moment for yourself on Saturday, qualifying for the GP Challenge.
Yeah, it was really good. Tough meeting. Strong lineup, so happy to come away with one of the qualifying spots.
Yeah, what does it mean to you? Where does it rank up there in the achievements in your career so far?
It was a good meeting. It's it's nice to get through to the next round, but it's still a long way to go. It's just treating it as another meeting and happy to come away with a good result.
Yeah, nevertheless, such a result in such a prestigious event like that must show the steps you have taken in recent years.
Yeah, it's getting better. You know, I feel a lot better on the bike now, and last year was really tough, and it's nice to come back and start to get the ball rolling. You know, I struggled a little bit in the start of the season, but now the meetings are picking up. I'm feeling more confident on the bike. So fingers crossed we can just keep it going and keep getting some good results.
Yeah, when you do look at that GP Challenge lineup as well, certainly mouth-watering to say the least. And obviously the Grand Prix series is where every rider dreams of being when they're coming into the sport and making their way through.
Absolutely, you know, everyone that starts out dreams of being in it, and you know, it is a long journey to get there, and you know, we've all had our ups and downs, and it's nice to be in the position in the Grand Prix Challenge, but to have qualified for it. You know, last year I was given the spot, which was good, but you know, this feels more deserved. So got a couple of months before that meeting, and got quite a lot of meetings before then, so it's something to look forward to for sure.
Also linking up with Scunthorpe in the Championship as well. I'm guessing when they got in touch, was that an easy move for yourself in the end?
Yeah, it was. It fitted in pretty well with my schedule and logistically, so yeah, I'm really happy to be joining Scunthorpe and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, obviously you did have some opportunities abroad this year, but was it the lack of bike time maybe that made it an easier call?
Yeah, I've still got team spots abroad in Sweden every week, and Poland, yeah, there's every now and again, depending on what's going to happen. So yeah, it's nice to know that I've got more meetings coming up, and I always feel better riding often, so hopefully it will turn out well.
Yeah, obviously replacing Josh Orty as well, and when you are replacing a rider who's been there for such a long time, I think it's 10 years or something, he's been with the Scorpions, pretty big boots to fill in that respect.
Yeah, he was always good round there when I was there, and you know, it was a shock when I heard that you know, Josh was out of the team, but yeah, I'm there to do a job, and you know, hopefully I can do that for him.
Yeah, looking at the team and the results they've picked up so far, certainly a surprise package perhaps.
Yeah, big win yesterday against Glasgow, which was really good for them, and you know, I spoke with Dave, and they want to be pushing in the playoffs, so you know, hopefully we'll be up there come the end of the year, and everyone knows that once you reach the playoffs, anything can happen.
There's Adam Ellis speaking with Ryan Guest, and Adam, new signing for the Scunthorpe Scorpions. Tom Brennan is with us, and Tom, you know yourself, you know, speedway injuries can happen at the shortest of notice, and in a flash, you know, your career can be literally upside down, and obviously no income coming in and all that kind of stuff. And that's where Josh Orty finds himself now, sidelined with injury, been released by his club. And that is the hard side of speedway that you have to contend with as a rider, isn't it? That these things can happen, sometimes no fault of your own, but the sport and the teams have to move on and get other riders in there, and sometimes that can be at your cost.
That is the nature of speedway. It's the nature of any motorsport, any professional athlete. Any sport you do, you know, I mean, you can walk the road and get yourself in a bit of trouble. So everything you do is dangerous. But unfortunately, in speedway, it just seems a little bit more so. So, you know, it's definitely hard to try and take that, to try and have an injury, try and overcome that, but also to lose your team spot too. I mean, obviously for me, obviously self-employed, and this is the only thing that I do. So for you to have a crash and be on the sidelines with that team spot is obviously all your earnings gone, and it's very, very hard to mentally try and overcome that, to even start thinking about spending more money on your bikes to get them ready, to try and get them straight. You know, it's massive. It's a huge thing that obviously some people realise, but the most don't. You know, there's obviously a lot that goes on, and obviously for Josh, wish him all the best, and I know he's done a lot for the Ben Fund as well over the last couple of years, so hopefully they're helping him too. But you know, I'm sure the speedway community will get behind him, and obviously we'll get behind a lot of injured riders. So obviously like they did with myself. So very, very grateful to have them, and obviously because speedway is such a small community, the amount of messages, the amount of people that obviously give you all the support that obviously you need to get yourself back up is tremendous. So yeah, I mean, that's obviously all I can say, but speedway is obviously dangerous, so hopefully we can try and stay out of that situation for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big shout to the Ben Fund, because they are there when that income stops as well, aren't they? Because obviously it can happen very, very quickly, and you've still got bills to pay.
No, for sure. They have completely changed the way that things have worked, because you'll be very surprised the amount of riders that don't have their own insurance too. You know, they have the club race insurance and that's all. So it's pretty hard for because, you know, race insurance is definitely very expensive. You know, it's very expensive to have, and if you're not earning the money, you can't have it. Which situation I was in. You know, I had no insurance, so for me to have the Ben Fund and to have help from other people was a huge, you know, obviously like the crowdfunders too, that was a huge thing for me, and that was a huge boost, because without that I'm not sure where I'll be now. So for sure they're obviously doing a great job, and I hope they carry on.
Yeah, absolutely. And Speedway itself is an expensive sport, isn't it? You know, if you're going out there like you are, you're racing in a couple of leagues and doing, you know, maybe international stuff as well with GB. It does cost quite a bit to even just rock up to the meeting, let alone anything going wrong.
Yeah, and that's obviously why it's so hard, you know, when you sort of see stuff on the internet, like, you know, he's doing so bad, where's the effort, you know, and it's hard to take, you know, because I obviously see it from a lot of riders, and there's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of soul, you know, there's a lot of money gone into Speedway. It's obviously hard to explain, but a meeting definitely isn't free of costs, and obviously don't think for 1 minute that Speed Rider is taking everything they earn home, because it all goes straight back into it. You know, it's so hard to try and forget about it. I mean, my girlfriend goes nuts at me because I obviously come home and I'm on about Speedway, and I'm on about Speedway again, and then I'm racing in a week and I'm on about Speedway, and she's like, you're not taking a minute. But it's so hard to try and switch off, and obviously the best riders in the world can do that. You know, obviously like Woofy, and I'm sure Doyley can come home from a meeting and they can just completely switch off and then go again. But in the sort of stage of my career that I'm at now, and I'm sure for a lot of guys, it's very, very hard to switch off, and you want to try and be the best you can. And you know, obviously there is some days when I'd like to obviously go out and obviously do something else, but I can't, because I have to go and wash wheel bikes and go race the next day, and it takes the majority of your life, especially from April to about October. So you know, obviously it's pretty hard, and then we go work in the winter. So I mean, I do myself, so it's pretty hard, but at the same time I definitely wouldn't change a thing about it, and I am very grateful for the opportunities that I have. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that would dream to have the life that I have, so I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, keep doing what you're doing. I think you've definitely got your head in the right space, and I think you're doing all the right things, and I think the results are going to show for that. What do you do when you're not doing Speedway in the off season? Then what's your other job?
Oh, well, I obviously mentioned my brother Ben before, but last year it was roofing.
Oh, right, okay.
That was a huge thing for me, because it was in the cold, and it was like, oh no, you know, this is so hard, and it definitely shows you what work is, you know, because you can get very sucked into racing Speedway and earning money, and that's it, you know, and then you can think you're hard done by. But when you go and do some proper work, you know, you then sort of realise, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. And you know, I definitely wouldn't take those winters back, because those winters are what make you stronger. You know, obviously working, I think I did a little bit in the butchers too, so cutting some meat and stuff like that. But those are winters are definitely the times where you got to dig deep, and you definitely come out of them stronger. And then when you start riding your speedway bike, you definitely feel like a new person. So for me, you know, it's part of it, and it's a part of Speedway life, and hopefully in the next coming years I might not have to do that, but I'm definitely not counting on it. But
okay, well, yeah. Butcher and roofer come Speedway rider. It's all covered.
Part time.
Tom, let's get your reaction to this. Some breaking news from the world of Speedway, and it's coming in from Leicester and from Kings Lynn, and it's that Ty Proctor has announced that he wants to be left out of both of the teams for the time being. He wants some time out of the sport. Of course, he's struggled for some points in the first months with both teams at the moment, and he's asked to not be considered. Wants a few weeks out from his racing to put things right. So we've had a few riders, of course, hanging up their Kevlars either temporarily or permanently lately, and here's another one with Ty.
Yeah, you know, that's always terrible to see. But you know, life obviously takes you where you need to be, and maybe Speedway isn't obviously where he wants to be right now, and it's hard. You know, obviously, same as he's in the same situation as Craig Cook this year too. You know, he's had the whole year off, and he's trying to come back against guys that haven't had the whole year off, and it's obviously very hard to try and be competitive, and very, very unfortunate for him because Ty's a great guy, and I hope with whatever he does now he can hopefully come back to the sport in the next couple of years. But obviously wish him the best with whatever he's doing, and I'm sure we won't lose contact. So that's definitely a big shame for Speedway, and obviously for Kings Lynn and for Leicester, because he is no weak rider by any means. He's obviously been around for a long time, and yeah, that definitely is a shame. But hopefully he can sort things out, and if he doesn't come back, then all the best for him, and hope he can find happiness elsewhere. So.
Yeah, and the statement from Ty Proctor is that he says, "My plan for this season isn't working. I need to take a few weeks out from racing and try and put things right. I want to make it clear I still love the sport and I'm not walking away from it. I just need to go away and hit the reset button and try and get going again. But I've tried to strike a balance between a full-time job and riding for 2 clubs, and the plan hasn't worked, and it's going to work, and it's not going to work anytime soon. I don't want to appear to be doing the dirty on my teams because I have massive respect for everyone at Leicester and also at Kings Lynn. So I'm doing what I believe is right for me and right for my clubs."
Yeah, and that's right. Obviously going back to what I was saying about Nicolai, you have to be a little bit selfish sometimes, and if that isn't what he wants to do at this current time, if he needs to go away and have a think, then all credit to him. I believe that's obviously the right call for him if that's what he wants to do. So. Hopefully in a few weeks' time or a few months' time, he can regain that confidence back and obviously sort things out with himself personally and come back stronger.
Good stuff. OK, let's have a look through the fixtures then that are coming up. And these are all in the Championship between now and Monday. So on Friday, Edinburgh versus Scunthorpe. And we've talked about Scunthorpe. Edinburgh, always a worthy opponent, especially at Armadale. It's a tricky place to go, isn't it, that?
Yeah, I've actually never ridden there, so
no.
I can't really comment. But you see, obviously Newcastle and Edinburgh are the two tracks that are definitely a lot smaller than a lot of tracks. But I've been told it's pretty similar to Eastbourne, so hopefully it is. And when I go there, it should be hopefully pretty good. But
OK, well, we'll find out in time then how you go there.
Well, it might not be.
Yeah. So. We'll keep an eye on the scores when you go. Glasgow versus Eastbourne, we've mentioned that one. And the other one is Redcar versus Kent on Friday. Redcar are another strong team, aren't they? Who surely are going to be there or thereabouts come the reckoning.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously have a pretty good number 1 or number 5 in Charles Wright. He's obviously been a huge help for me for Bellevue too. And to have him in your 1 to 7 lineup is always good, especially in the Championship, because he's obviously a very, very strong rider in that league. So no, they've got a pretty solid team, and especially with that track too. There's obviously every track has some form of home track advantage, but obviously that track is also another good example of that. It's pretty fast, pretty good racetrack, but if you have it set up there, then obviously you're pretty good. So, obviously it's hard to say because obviously wouldn't want them to go out and win everything, but obviously wish them all the best too. Same as with every club, but yeah, I'm sure they'll be here for the long run, same as every other club is. So
I think the Redcar track is almost exactly the same size as the Cardiff track. If ever you want to go for a practice at Cardiff, then Redcar's probably your place to go.
I'll be ready for Redcar. Yeah, perfect. Cool.
Saturday, Berwick versus Glasgow. Again, another track that I think some riders either love or hate. It's quite a big track, that one, isn't it, with narrow straights?
Definitely a tricky track. It's a very... It's kind of mentally tough, because you're obviously going on the straight so fast and it's so narrow, and then you got to throw it in the corner at 100 mile an hour, and you think, wow, this is really quick. And if you're relaxed and stable, you go fast there. But if you're tense and you turn hard, which occasionally I do quite a lot, you obviously struggle, So it's definitely a pretty hard track to get set up on. But them boys have been there for quite a while, and like we were saying about Leon before, he's obviously been there for a while, and it's literally in his back garden, so he's been going good. So I'm pretty sure they should be pretty strong around their home track. So.
Yeah, and the other Saturday fixture, Leicester against Newcastle. Leicester, the reigning champions, albeit from the year previous, but they've had a defeat this last week and maybe a slight wobble. And Newcastle, of course, were the team to defeat them at Brough Park last weekend, and maybe Leicester looking for revenge on that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure on obviously with their team. Obviously Leicester, I know that they've had. I think maybe Josh Bates has been injured. Again, like so many teams in British Speedway, it's once you have a few team changes, it definitely unsettles your whole team atmosphere. So for them, I might give them a bit of an upset, but I'm pretty sure that same thing with the home track advantage around Leicester. It's pretty similar to Eastbourne. Such a different track and technical track that obviously you need to use your head around. It definitely isn't flat out and hold on. It's a very, very technical track. So if you set up there, same as any other track, you're definitely going to go good. But Leicester has always been a strong team, and obviously they won pretty much all the leagues in 2019, which I can remember. So for them, I'm more than certain that they will be coming back stronger, and I'm sure that loss against Newcastle won't be in their minds for very long.
On Sunday, Newcastle in action again at home at Brough Park, up against Plymouth. Now, the thing here is Bjarne Pedersen, of course, riding for Plymouth, and he used to ride for Newcastle for quite a long time, many years ago. So they've got a bit of home track advantage of Plymouth there. Yeah, he's going to be good, but again, it was a pretty long time ago, and there's some pretty good riders for Newcastle. So, I'm pretty sure the switch to British Speedway for Bjarne hasn't been as straightforward as probably what he might have imagined. It's definitely a pretty hard league, and a lot of these guys can take it for granted. Obviously, same as Crumpy. He's been world champion 3 times and comes back in this, and it's definitely an eye opener. They're obviously a little bit older and a little bit more tired, but they are still the great riders that they obviously once were, and I'm sure Bjarne and Crumpy, if he's fit, will be absolutely fine. And they also have in that Plymouth team, they have obviously the French rider Stephen Garay. He's obviously changed his life around to come race for British Speedway, and he's obviously left all his family and left what he's known. So for him, it's definitely a different track to what he's normally riding. I think Plymouth have a pretty strong team. So it'd be a pretty tight one, I think. I think it depends who Newcastle are getting as a reserve to replace Ben Barker as well, because they had Stevie Worrell, didn't they, in the meeting last weekend? So if they can get him back, that would certainly tip the balance in Newcastle's favour, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Stevie's a great rider, and if they can have him again, that's definitely an advantage to them. So whoever they get.
The other fixture, Scunthorpe against Edinburgh. It's the return of that Friday night one. I think we've spoken about both of those teams, but again, that could be a close meeting.
Yeah. I mean, I think every meeting at the moment is close, because all the teams want to win so bad, and all the riders. I mean, I know we're a couple months into the season now, but it's still very much. We've had a year out before then, and people are still out to prove themselves. So, obviously, not just for themselves personally, but obviously for their sponsors and for their family, and for every rider at the moment in British Speedway, they want to do the best they can. So every meeting at the moment is going to be pretty tight, and. Like you say, I think Scunthorpe's again a pretty tricky track. But if Edinburgh can get set up pretty early, then I think there'd be no problem. So I think it'd be a pretty tight one.
Fantastic stuff. Well, Tom Brennan, it's been great speaking with you on this episode, and thanks for all your insight and the very best of luck, of course, for the rest of the season. There's lots still to come. What are you particularly focused on through the course of the upcoming few months? What's your aims?
It's just to try and enjoy myself. Obviously it's pretty easy to get sucked into the seriousness of Speedway sometimes, and I think the best riders in the world can sort of balance that out. And for me, it's to try and enjoy myself, to try and do as many meetings as I can. I obviously want to try and take every opportunity I have with both hands, and try and just. I mean, it's very well. Obviously I want to try and win everything I can, but that obviously isn't realistic. So for me, it's just to try and keep on the pace, and to keep proving to myself that I'm getting better every weekend. And even if the points don't show that, as long as I'm comfortable and as long as I'm pushing myself to the limit every time, then I'll be more than happy. So for me, it's just to try and continue with my head down and keep my head up. Well, head down, head up, whichever way you want to look at it. But no, for me, it's definitely a hard one. But I want to try and stay focused and just try and prove to myself more than anything that I can do this. So
Yeah, well, I think you certainly can. And I think not just Bellevue fans and Eastbourne fans, but I think all of British Speedway were well and truly behind you last weekend. And you certainly made your name, I think, for anybody who wasn't particularly aware of you as to what you can do. And long may it continue. All the best for it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, I also would like to say a massive thank you to all those people that sent me all the nice messages, sent me all the support, and for me that was a huge boost for me. So also a big thank you to all my team that obviously continue to support me and continue to back me, and obviously all my sponsors and people that have put their hard-earned money into me and obviously into my racing. So obviously definitely wouldn't be there without them. And like we say, hope I can carry this form on, and I'm definitely enjoying it at the moment. So I don't really see any reason why we can't. So thank you very much.
My thanks to Tom Brennan and everybody else who's appeared on this episode of No Breaks, No Fear. Of course, keep up to date with everything that's happening with your club through the course of the coming days by heading online, speedwaygb.co.uk. You're always going to have all the latest news, all the results and all the fixtures, always available and up to date at speedwaygb.co.uk. And don't forget that we'll be back next Tuesday with another edition of No Breaks, No Fear. You can listen on any podcast platform, and if you've got a smart speaker as well, you can ask your smart speaker to play the British Speedway podcast. Enjoy your week in Speedway wherever it takes you, and we'll see you next week on No Breaks, No Fear.
No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Sports Social Podcast Network.